Good.
Good.
Welcome to episode 2 Driven Conversations podcast.
Dose.
We are once again just figuring out as we go. We went over some topics over the last hour or so, and we're hoping that it's good and intriguing, but it flows well and we'll get where we need to go.
Yeah, we're just talking.
Yeah.
We just like to talk, don't we?
I guess. But I mean, we're going to open with some shocking news, not so much the automotive industry, but in basketball. We're both basketball coaches. We enjoy some good basketball.
Yep.
And the Dallas Mavericks somehow have the worst GM in Dallas, with Jerry Jones still being the GM of the Cowboys.
Over my 42 years, that's probably one of the wildest business moves I think I've seen.
Yeah.
We'll see if he has a plan behind the madness.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
The Mavericks traded away Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis of the Lakers. So they traded away their 25-year-old, arguably top 3 in the league player.
Their moneymaker, right?
Yep.
Like, that's who's selling jerseys for them. That's who people want to come see.
Yeah.
I just
led him to the finals.
Yeah.
Hurt himself getting there. They
Yep.
traded him because of his injury. He's injured because he got him to the finals. I don't have words. Like,
It doesn't make basketball sense and it doesn't make business sense.
No.
And that's where, like, if it made one or the other, and I guess maybe you argue, okay, it could make some business sense because, they don't have the max contract now that they've got to pay out. But, like, at some point, all of these teams that are after a championship, like, that's just part of the process.
Right.
So, I guess they just refuse to build a team around him. I don't know.
I guess so. Yeah, it's like trading Curry if they would have lost the first finals he went to. Like,
I know you coach high school girls.
Yeah.
I coach high school boys.
Yeah.
We kind of have these same problems, right? When we're dealing with salary caps and stuff like that.
right. Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
We had a tough game last night. Last night was senior night for us. And several of the seniors that are graduating this year were one of my early teams when I was coaching middle school. They were 6th graders. So I've had them since 6th grade. So last night was a tough night. We ended up battling a team that's ranked, I think they're top 25 in their division in Ohio right now. They're in our league, and we played best game I think this group has played together. Ended up losing by 3 at the end, but it was, man, those boys left their heart and soul out on the floor. It was awesome.
Yeah. Basketball's fun. It's started coaching again last year. It's fun to be around the competition.
Yeah.
Being away from playing for so long, I only played through high school. So
you're in charge of all the contracts, right? So
whatever that means.
You execute the trades and the contracts, and
we're just trying to get as many out as we can at our level. It's we're not a high level yet for the girls team. We have 5 seniors this year. 4 of them are starters, so we're looking for a rebuild. So I guess I got to start looking for some more contracts.
Got to get on the road and start recruiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been a good season.
Hopefully your guys' NIL is your fund's solid.
I guess. I mean, we got the new gym, so we at least have that. But
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I mean, the current state of the NBA is kind of crazy.
I have a hard time watching it, honestly.
LeBron's aging. Who's going to be the new face of the NBA?
It's Jokic right now.
Being from Ohio, I love the Cavs, and I love what the Cavs have done because they haven't really taken. I mean, I guess you could argue Donovan Mitchell is, I guess a headpiece to that team, and he definitely is. But he's not, one of those big brand names, right? And he seems to play the game the right way. Darius Garland, like just guy after guy after guy that they have on that team. They play so well together, which has been something that has been missing in the NBA for a long time. It's been a lot of isolation, a lot of 1 or 2 guys.
Yep.
That Golden State team, 20 2015, I want to say 2016.
Yeah, around that time. Both them and Cleveland.
Yeah, that team moved the ball really, really well, which is why Cleveland struggled with them. Yeah. That's what Cleveland does if you get a chance to watch them. So it's, hopefully more teams will take that model that Cleveland's putting together and start to do that, because then the NBA will become a little more fun to watch.
Yeah, right now college is the level to watch. Yeah.
Can't wait for March Madness, man.
I know. Michigan will actually make the tournament this year, it's looking like, after a historically bad year.
You think my Buckeyes will get in?
So I haven't kept up with them much. Where are they at in the Big Ten standings?
They're about midway right now. They have some pretty good quad one wins. Yeah. About every team ranked that they have lost to, it's only been, like a 3-point loss. I don't know how much that weighs into, them getting a fair shot this year, but
how they do in the Big Ten
I'm
tournament.
Hopeful. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The Big Ten tournament at least will be entertaining.
Yeah, definitely.
The Big Ten's got a lot of good teams in it, even though they may not all be ranked.
The Big Ten's stacked, man. Stacked.
The Big 10 of 19 teams.
Right.
What's going on?
The Big 19. Maybe we'll change it to the Big 20 once we get Notre Dame or somebody to join.
Yeah. Well, Notre Dame's ACC and everything but football, right?
I know, but I think eventually they'll be like, it just makes sense to become Big 10.
Well,
we'll see.
Who knows?
But
the Notre Dame just does what Notre Dame does. I don't like them, but
yeah.
But with other football teams, Super Bowl's coming up. Obviously, I'm wearing my Eagles gear. I'm feeling good.
Was that for the year that they lost?
No, that was the year they won.
That was the year they
52
won.
With Nick Foles.
What? Oh, Super Bowl 52. Okay.
Yeah, bringing them to the promised land.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty decent about it.
What year was Super Bowl 52?
It was 16, 17.
2017?
Yeah.
All right.
6 years ago. My phone on Sunday said it was that day 6 years ago.
Is that day 6 years ago? Nice.
And
as in today, that day?
Sunday.
Okay. Sunday.
Yeah. I had posted the graphic on my Instagram story. And
is it fair to say that if you were to make a prediction, you're going to pick the Eagles?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
By at least 7 points.
By 7 points.
I think they win by a touchdown if they win.
They're a solid team. I definitely will give that to them.
Yeah.
I think my prediction is going to be the officials.
Yeah, the Zebras. The Zebras win.
The Zebras are getting prepped and ready.
Yeah.
They've put a lot of reps in. And I'm pretty confident that they're gonna pull this out.
Yeah. Well, have you seen all of the Kansas City players? They're starting to get upset with reporters asking them about officials.
Feelings are getting hurt?
Yeah.
Oh man.
The Super Bowl media day, the reporters kept asking all of them about it.
How can you make that much money to go out and play a game and your feelings get hurt, get upset? You get upset because somebody asks you what is a legit question about, hey, was that really a first down, or did the officials help you there?
We'll see.
Was that really a late hit on Mahomes, or
hey, maybe enough noise is being made that if something crazy happens in the Super Bowl, something may just happen.
With all the legalized gambling around sports and stuff now, and
they've got to get it right.
The NFL, all of these leagues have the what's the word I'm looking for, CJ? They've got the responsibility to make sure that they get it right.
Yes.
Because not that I condone gambling, but at the end of the day,
it's a lot of money changing hands.
It's a lot of money changing hands, and there's a lot of shady things happening.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and the NFL finally said they're going to start looking into using technology to track where the ball's spotted.
Yeah, first downs.
We've had to have had tech to be able to do that for over a decade.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would think if we can track a pitch in the strike zone coming at 80, 90, 100 plus miles an hour.
We can spot where a ball was on a field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just put a little sensor in each ball, and
it's
I don't know.
It is very interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, we got some competition on the other side of the pond, but with the American
Canadian football?
giant. No, other side of the pond over in Europe.
Other side of the pond, not on the other side. Yeah, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, the Ferrari won Le Mans last time around.
Yeah.
They came back after I don't know how long the hiatus was. I want to say it was like multiple decades.
Yeah, that's a great question. We should look that up.
But they came back, won in their first year back, and then Ford saw it and said, we don't like that.
Yeah, the Ford versus Ferrari movie was fresh in their minds. And they're like, we can't be having this.
No, so 2027, Ford's going back to Le Mans.
2027, building a whole new car.
Yeah,
it looks like
a full factory team.
Yeah.
So not just showing up.
See, this is why it's really important for, I'm all for like immigration and all the other things. Like I want to go visit other countries, see their culture and their heritage. But I think this is ultimately like the cool part of America versus, Italy or America versus, whatever, like parting some of that stuff out to different countries waters it down and doesn't make it the experience that it can be. So like the Ford versus Ferrari, like Ferrari's not coming over here to America unless they might be, but they're not coming over here to America probably and being like, hey, let's get this, and this from you guys, and we're going to build this car. So I think, having some of that be just rooted in America, American engineering, American manufacturing, whatever, really makes you proud, right? Yeah. And it's okay to be proud of, your fellow Americans and support them. And it's kind of a cool thing. I think that's part of what makes that movie so cool is, the whole rivalry of this race, right? Like that is kind of what it was based on.
Yep.
And good for Mr. Ferrari. What was his name? I forgot. Enzo Ferrari. Edit that out. I should have known that. Good for Enzo Ferrari for being mad and standing up and like, no, America's not going to beat us. Like, and just having that back and forth, like that's what makes all of us better.
Yeah.
That drive.
Competition
is a beautiful thing.
Yes. And some VW dealers in Florida are not looking forward to the competition of their sister brand Scout. Yeah. VW and Audi dealers in Florida are suing Scout Motors for having a direct to consumer model like Tesla and Rivian.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the direct to consumer model?
Yeah.
Do you like it? Do you not like it? I've noticed in the last several months, lots of noise about Hyundai selling their cars on Amazon. Yeah. It's like, I just don't think, maybe there are that many crazy buyers out there that disassociate with their wallet. They're like, I'm just going to buy this car on Amazon.
I think there's enough people that are fed up with dealerships and dealing with salespeople.
You guys should tell us what your thoughts are on this topic. You very well could be right. But I'm telling you, people, don't give up, right? Go back and demand better service. Like as a business owner, we want to give the best service that we can give. We do care about customer service. Do we always get it right? No.
Yeah.
Like it is one of those things where your personality and my personality sometimes may not match up. You may be having a bad day. I might be having a bad day, and we just happen to meet on that day, and the experience isn't the best. Like those things do happen, but ultimately you got to have the service to provide the best product.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so you take the service out of it. It's a tough thing, right?
Yeah.
Like going back to the Scout, that whole model, and those dealers being upset. Like what I'm taking on this topic and this headline is that the dealers, as in the people behind the dealerships that are operating the dealerships, are like, no, we're not going to support your brand of Scout coming into our dealership and us making no money on it.
Yeah.
Like that's not what we're here to do.
Yeah. I don't know how intertwined they will be with those dealers. I don't know if they'll have their separate like repair centers like Tesla has. Yeah. So like in Easton, it looks like it's a Tesla dealer. It's their repair center, and they happen to stock cars there if people buy them.
Right.
So I don't know how all of that's going to work, but
yeah, I think there's still some work to do probably from the federal level, in terms of, and this is where I think the government really should start to focus on. You want to help businesses and the economy and keep things going. Like, there has been a lot of monopolies just created, right? Like,
Yes.
I'm all for a company like Tesla being able to come in and decide to say, hey, we want to control our product all the way through and sell our cars directly to the consumer.
Right.
At the end of the day, you still have to create some sort of support system for the aftermarket, to be able to help, and for other service centers to be able to help, and also, the resale side of that. For the longest time, and I haven't kept up with the news on this, but when they first kind of were hot and were rolling, there was a big push that if you bought the car, you couldn't sell the car to somebody; you had to sell it back to Tesla. And that's crossing a line, and so that's kind of some of the current state of affairs that we're seeing just all over the world. Where everything's in disarray. It's like.
Yeah.
It's everybody's power hungry and trying to control everything.
Everybody wants to get theirs. Human nature. We're greedy. Lots of greedy people.
Lots of greedy people.
Want to get theirs. But
I always say, you get the relationships right, the money will take care of itself.
It's true. Yep.
Whether that's true or not, I hope it is.
No, I feel like that's true.
I believe that.
I feel like I've witnessed that over the last few years as I've traveled to automotive shows and enthusiast shows and seeing the network of brands that interact with each other because they have great relationships.
Yeah.
They're all succeeding because they all have great relationships with each other, not just because they're trying to make money.
Yeah.
But they're like, we like these people. We like dealing with these people. People like dealing with them. So like one exhaust company, they deal with one distributor that's their favorite distributor.
Yeah.
But those salespeople have a great relationship with their customers.
Yeah.
So those relationships trickle down all the way from the manufacturer to the customer through distributors and different things. So like relationships across the board do make for successful
I've had
companies.
enough relationships where companies or customers, they come and go. And I, a lot of my customers have become good friends.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things where those customers that, whether it's a bigger company or just an individual customer, things don't always go right. They'll circle back and realize like, I didn't understand your side of things. And that's where it's important to always balance like, hey, I got to try to put myself in your shoes.
Right.
You should try to put yourself in my shoes and understand what I'm dealing with. And hopefully we can find a middle ground. Right. Like, and that's, if you do that, then we all kind of understand like there's some give and take and nobody has to be a winner or a loser in this. We can both win.
Yeah.
And that's how relationships work. That's how marriage works. That's how that's how success happens.
Friends, basketball teams.
Oh man.
Football teams.
Yep.
We had a whole practice on Monday that was all about how are you going to work with your teammates to have a good environment.
Oh man.
Because we had one senior last year and we were trying to figure out like, okay, what are we missing from her? We were having some struggles. It was like, oh, she communicated well with her teammates and encouraged her teammates. So then we had to figure out, okay, how do we get them to do that now without the catalyst for that? Yeah. And it can be the same thing, and everywhere else.
Yeah, you can't let you can't let this thought of you're owed something, to creep in. We had our practice previous to this game that we had last night, spent in a meeting room with basically a lot of different players throughout the team. And it was, hey, you're letting go of the rope. You're not holding up your part. You're not playing hard at times. And as a result of that, things have to change. Us as coaches are fighting for the culture. We're fighting for you as players to be better and not fold to this, hey, I'm owed something mentality, or because I'm older, I deserve this. And so playing time is going to change. Now you have an opportunity still to capture and get as much playing time as you want.
Right.
But there are going to be some dramatic changes. And it was an awesome night. That group played unbelievably well together. They responded in a huge manner. And one of the cool highlights, we had a lot of guys. The girls played before us, lots of injuries. Girl go to the hospital, got busted open here, had to probably get stitches.
Yeah, I've got a scar right here from basketball getting my
twisted ankles. We finished our JV game, boys JV game, with only 4 players. We had guys hurt. And then the varsity boys played, and kind of going back to that conversation, early on, got a freshman that has shown that he deserves a look. As some of these older guys have struggled with leadership and their responses and things like that. And he got his moment. And I told his mom and dad, I was like, your little boy grew up, became a man today.
Right.
He hit 2 huge shots. He took a big charge in a pivotal moment of the game. I mean, it was right down to the wire where we were about ready to snatch this thing. Yeah. And we just ran out of steam. But that's basketball, right? Anybody can win on any given night. Yep. But it was cool. I mean, back to just the response and being able to, those relationships are super important.
Yep. Well, what's nice about in business a lot of time is you're not competing with other people to, make them lose.
Yeah.
Your competition is not, you're not trying to shoot down your competition necessarily.
There are people that go out there and give you a bad review and they're from a different company. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing? But yeah, if you're a respectable company, you're not wishing. I mean, there's enough competition and there's enough customers out there for everybody to survive if you're doing things right.
Yeah, if everybody's doing their best, that should be the competition to get customers. It shouldn't be trying to.
Yeah, and then finding your niche or your specialty within what you do.
Yep. Yeah. Say our next topic we were looking at the demise of auto shows.
The demise of auto shows.
Yeah, we were talking about. So this kind of goes hand in hand with kind of the VW dealers being angry at, a manufacturer. Manufacturers seem like they don't care too much about the physical customer anymore. Like we talked about the Columbus Auto Shows.
Yeah. What's the last auto show you've been to?
Yeah. If you've ever
tell us in the comments.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're right? Like, how much do these big manufacturers care about you, the customer?
Yeah. Well, and now they've got social media and digital commercials and digital marketing. They can sell you, a render of a car, and you go to the dealer and then they convince you to buy it. And then you're kind of like, oh, how did I end up here? I didn't even get to really experience, everything on the market, which is what auto shows.
Yeah, you used to sit in the cars and, just like kind of get the feel for it, all that stuff. I mean, you're right. It's kind of sad, really.
Yeah. Well, and
it's kind of sad.
The Detroit Auto Show, arguably one of the biggest in the world. I wanted to go this year, didn't end up being able to make it. But after watching some videos of people talking about their experience there this year, they said there's no new reveals of cars. It's just, here's our lineup. Here's nothing new.
Yeah.
And there may be a few new trims here and there. But there's not an experience there to be had.
Yeah, going back to I don't know, episode one, and we talked a little bit about the EV mandate getting unwinded, and so my question for you is, how much of that not having new models out to unveil and things like that, how much of that has to do because the government has their hands too much in things, and so manufacturers are kind of scared and aren't going to put new stuff out because there's too much restriction. There's too much not knowing. I mean, if you're going through your business planning and you're trying to plan out the next year, the next 5 years,
right?
And you're like, oh, hey, they've got this EV mandate that we got to hit, and all of a sudden, those aren't selling.
Yeah.
then and dealers aren't ordering them, then how much money do you even have to go invest in bringing out a new model, or B, do you want to invest in something that you like? I feel like we're at the point right now where we're stuck. Like, what is the trend? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what the trend is. I think Ford just announced, you can check me on this, but I think Ford just announced that they were shutting down a plant that was making the Ford F-150 Lightning due to lackluster sales. So I don't know. I don't know if that's affecting the auto show. I feel like it definitely could be part of the problem.
So they shut down production of the Lightning as a whole from November 15th to January 6th.
Just shut it down.
So,
said we're. I don't know how many they produce over that time period, but obviously, that's lost production because
they've
numbers don't support it.
They've implemented price cuts, it says.
Yeah.
$7,215 lower.
$7,215 lower. Wow.
That's a good chunk.
That is.
For an MSRP to drop.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, but some of that may be some competition with Tesla. They are constantly fluctuating their prices.
Yeah.
They've been known to do that. So who knows if that's a caveat of the EV market.
Yeah.
But
I feel like the way the Teslas are made and the business model behind Tesla, you could very easily produce 1 million of those vehicles and then slap the manufacturer date on it when you roll them out to the stores.
Yeah.
That was actually built in 2016, but now it's a 2025.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
a little more difficult with Ford and Chevy and Dodge.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing.
I don't know. There's so much weird stuff there, but yeah.
I'm just saying they haven't changed them a whole lot. We've been for decades accustomed as Americans, accustomed to this every, I would say roughly 4 years, you're getting some sort of major trim or body style change.
Right.
Which I didn't necessarily agree with. I think GM did a really good job. You go back to the old school trucks, the C10s, all the way into the 90s, the 88 to 98 body style of that truck was a really solid selling truck.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt that the body style didn't change basically at all.
Yeah. And the most modern I think we've seen of that has been Dodge with the Charger and Challenger.
Yeah.
They've seen success and they were like, all right, well, we'll just keep making this third generation. We'll just keep pumping out weird little new models wide bodies.
The wide body. That's where I was going. The wide body. You take that car and then you do the wide body thing to it. It's all right. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. They did well to take
something that's good and make it great.
Right. It wasn't a new model. It wasn't new anything crazy.
Yeah.
But let's just make it a little bit different. And it's been selling well.
You slap an awesome engine in there.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah. Well,
what more do you want?
People keep stealing it. So then people get insurance and they say, you know what? I want another one. So they buy another one. And
I was just watching Live PD or Cops the other night, and this guy had a whole chop shop in his house where just Mopars.
Crazy. Crazy. Yeah.
They caught the guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, another reason why the demise of auto shows and the not having new reveals at the auto shows, a lot of manufacturers have their own press days now.
Okay.
For their reveals. So I think that's been another piece.
Instead of doing it at the major auto show, at the Detroit Auto Show or the Chicago Auto Show.
They invite the press to one of their testing facilities or to their whatever and have a reveal. Because I've seen that with some different manufacturers.
Yeah.
Which
I feel like you could two-stage that, right? If you were planning it right, you do the reveal at the auto show, and then you have a press day where, hey, come out, check out the car. We're going to give you more in-depth look.
Right.
Yep. You could accomplish actually probably more by doing that.
Yep.
And it'd be better for their product and brands.
Yeah. Who knows the money numbers behind that?
Yeah.
That may be
I just think there's a lot of bad decisions being made these days.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You go back to GM, and I think GM I could be wrong on this, but being from my vantage point, I feel like GM was kind of one of the first major ones to make the shift of going away from traditional designers, automotive designers, and like reached way too far into like the fashion designer world and was like, hey, come build a car for us. And you're getting these ideas that are just wacky that don't hit home for anybody.
Yep.
And not that the fashion designer world doesn't have some good ideas. I'm absolutely sure they do, specifically when it comes to like interiors of vehicles and stuff. But to go all in on some of the stuff that has happened over the years is like, they have obviously enough money to sit there and just burn.
Right. Well, and how much of that is government subsidies, but that's a whole nother topic.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started on that.
Well, BMW, we know that they've had some...
You saw I was voted to be part of Doge, so...
where was that? I didn't see that.
It was on the YouTube thing.
I didn't see... Oh, that is right. That was yeah. So do you want to do that?
It would be interesting. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Privy to some information. I would probably, I already don't have a whole lot of hair on my head, but I'd be like, we spent money on what?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We spent money where?
Right. Yeah.
But it makes me think about like, and my kids are all pretty responsible. But you think about as a kid and you maybe want something that's really dumb and you're willing to spend a lot of money on something that's really dumb. And then, weeks later, you're like, not even using it.
Yep.
It's kind of how the whole government seems to operate. So
yeah,
we won't go down this rabbit hole.
Right.
But we talked about the $3 billion for the mail truck the mail trucks, and we've got 93 of them.
Yeah, I think we spent probably of the hour of research or hour and a half beforehand, we probably spent a good 30 minutes of that just on doing that, and we still didn't even come to a good conclusion.
I'm sure there's more details to this, but I saw a number. It was like we got 93 trucks for $3 billion, and how much money that came out to per truck. I don't have a calculator in front of me. It'll take me too long to get to it in this brick. But that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. We talked about the auto shows and all of that, and we used to see the aftermarket jump pretty quickly. Well, they still do jump pretty quickly on new vehicles. I wonder if being able to see hands-on sometimes with auto shows helped some aftermarket manufacturers.
When you say jumped on pretty quickly, what do you mean?
Like make parts. So like tonneau covers for the new truck that came out and has a new bed. I feel like that's usually pretty quick.
So it's actually slower, believe it or not, by like, I would say a solid 6 months.
Okay.
Maybe even 6 months to a year slower at times, due to the fact that back in the heyday, at least my heyday of being in the industry, these manufacturers, specifically Ford, Chevy, Dodge, or GM, Ford Motor Company, Mopar, they wanted the aftermarket industry. They needed the aftermarket industry to help them. Think about it from a standpoint of, if I come out with a good platform and you are able to make product for that platform, think no further than Jeep. We'll use Jeep as an example.
Yeah.
Very easy. Now, hey, I want that vehicle. All of these products are available for it,
right? To
accessorize it, to make it. And so the automotive manufacturers have tried forever to have aftermarket products, but they just can't do it as good as the aftermarket can. And so, stick to selling your vehicles, stick to servicing them, and do it at a really high level, and customers will still support you.
Right.
And then on the flip side, like, partner with, good companies that can help you on the back end. And but yeah, as far as time wise, like, you would think, and maybe this will change, you would think with the advancements of the being able to print a lot of these parts, the 3D printing stuff, that would speed the process up. And I know that it has sped it up in in some fashions,
Right.
but in terms of there's a lot that plays into it, right? Is it going to be made here? Is it going to be made overseas?
Yep.
Once you get your hands on the vehicle, which the partnerships used to be, they would give them vehicles or sell it to them for $1
Right.
and they can make their product.
Right.
And then, at the end of the day, whatever happened to that vehicle, typically those vehicles had to be crushed.
Right.
Because they were handing some of them out to manufacturers, aftermarket manufacturers. And then once the contract, if you will, was up on it, they could use it for promotions and for their shows.
Right.
Talking about auto shows, there's all kinds of aftermarket shows, SEMA being a big one.
Yep.
But when they were done with that vehicle, then it had to go and get crushed.
Right.
Because it wasn't a legit vehicle for on-road use. But hopefully that'll improve.
Yeah.
We're kind of in this, really in this, like, whole pioneer phase again of what's happening in the world in different industries and manufacturing and where's the automotive industry going?
Yeah, it seems like the automotive industry has been wanting to keep aftermarket out with, and some of it is the EPA piece of the whole tuning vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
ECUs are like heavily locked down now.
Yeah.
It's hard for tuners to get into a bunch of them. But then there's the right to repair. The government's trying to secure right to repair for vehicles. And there's a bunch of dealers and brands now that are like, no, you can't fix your own car. You've got to come to us.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Magnuson-Moss Act?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah. So it's an act that protects, buyers, consumers, that basically states that any vehicle modified, the dealer or the manufacturer has to prove that modification actually caused an issue before they could void a warranty.
Right.
Dealerships are real big on, throwing that out, like, oh, hey, you voided your warranty. But if you're educated and you bring some of these things up, they have the burden on them to prove that because you changed your own oil with their recommended oil, that you voided your warranty, or because you put a new set of tires on there, you voided your warranty. Now, we get this question a lot, and there are certain things that obviously your warranty will get voided. Let's say you go and put an aftermarket catback exhaust on there. Well, you might be trading a 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty on your factory catback exhaust to go to a different manufacturer's lifetime warranty on their exhaust.
Right.
Not a big deal. Actually, it's an improvement.
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
So that's part of what we do in our business, is really try to educate the consumer. Don't be scared into buying a warranty. If you're just buying a warranty, you're probably not buying the right vehicle at times. And there's give and take, right? Like, be like buying your house. You buy a brand new house and you paint the walls, and you voided your warranty. Like, everybody's going to probably paint their walls in their house, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of getting crazy with some of the stuff that's being thrown out there.
Yeah.
But it's all about control.
Yep.
BMW,
and it's all about the money.
Yeah. And the different models of how to make the money.
Yeah.
So I don't know when this started exactly, probably with Netflix, but the model of subscription-based businesses, right? And I started to say, like, BMW,
the heated seats.
Yep. You're going to pay us a monthly fee to have your heated seats turned on. Like, that is wild to me.
Yeah. Mercedes has one where, like, you can't remote start your car unless you pay for the app. And the app is like an astronomical amount of money.
Yeah.
It's like
that one I can understand a tad bit, just only because they probably have a cellular fee that is a monthly fee. But at the end of the day, us as buyers and consumers should push back against this. Hey, we're renting our lives. We're renting everything.
Yeah. Well, and the car has the ability to remote start, but you can't do it from the fob. You have to do it from the app. And to do it from the app, you have to the Mercedes Me.
So
app.
The aftermarket will come in and find a way to make it work from the fob.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Mercedes Me. I wonder how much that costs. Mercedes Me cost. So the app is free. I know it's not free. Cut this here. $80 annual fee.
$80 annual fee.
So that's what that one says. This one says $150 a year. That sounds more. Some people are reporting $250 a year.
Yeah.
Like
maybe the dealers are setting the price on that, and that's their profit. Who knows? But what I do know is I don't want to live in a world where you've got to rent everything.
No.
You know, it's like you're getting nickel and dimed.
Yep.
And we all already get nickel and dimed, you know, with all the fees and, you know, start having kids, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Paying for every little thing.
Yeah. Well, and the streaming services are just turning into cable now. All it's taken is one package of 4 different streaming services. And you're like, I'm just buying cable again.
We've come full circle.
Yeah.
Like, man.
It just, because everyone wanted to have their own streaming service. But
I'm so slow I never dumped cable. So here we are.
There you go.
I'm glad that you filled me in on the latest.
See, I don't think they're doing it quite yet, but it's well on its way there.
Yeah. I mean, so that brings us to, we were going to talk about, maybe you already said this, the history, the history of the automobile, right?
Yeah.
There's I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a really cool series out. I don't know who made it. I saw it on the History Channel. But it's the history of the automobile. And there's like another series that's the history of the American car industry, I think is what it's called. Something like that.
The Cars That Built America.
Or The Cars That Built America. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me on that.
So I have never seen it. I just remember you telling me.
Yes, Cars That Built America.
Yeah.
And the History Channel does that with a lot of things, like the food that built America, and so on and so forth. But it is, if you haven't seen them, I really recommend you. It's a great watch, especially if you're into history stuff. But it's really cool because, it just takes you from kind of the beginning. And I kind of feel, I made that comment about, I don't know where we're at in the world with a lot of the industries in the automotive industry. We're kind of in that phase again, I feel like, where, everything was horse and carriage, and then the automobile came along and it was like, who's going to win out? The, carriage makers and the horse maker, or the horse people, or the automobile manufacturers. And some of the carriage makers became automobile manufacturers. And I feel like we're kind of in that struggle of what's going to win out. Is it EV? Is it this? Is it that?
Right.
And so, the history of the automobile is fascinating. It's really cool. It's changed everybody's lives.
Yep.
Arguably for the better, obviously. With that, there's give and take, right? As far as, it's important to make things safe.
Right.
We didn't have airbags. We didn't have all of these things.
Seatbelts and all that.
That's a whole interesting topic that I like to explore and love having conversations about, because I get asked a lot of times, hey, what do you do? And, we kind of hit this topic, I think in episode 0 is who is Pickups Plus Cars, or what is Pickups Plus Cars?
Yep.
And the automotive aftermarket industry, obviously Pickups Plus Cars is that, or supports that in a huge way. But we made the comment about the fan working on our camera today. And a lot of you guys maybe don't even think about this, is there is literally an aftermarket industry for everything.
Yep.
The automotive aftermarket industry is probably one of the larger aftermarket industries out there.
Yep.
And the cool piece of that industry is, yes, a lot of those things have become standard. We talked about seat heaters, right? Yeah. Seat heaters were something that were never on an OE radar until somebody in the aftermarket was like, hey, I want my seats heated.
Yeah.
I laugh about Henry Ford and the Model T, and all of us, when you think of Henry Ford, what do you think of? Do you know his big claim to fame outside of the automobile?
Well, yeah, there were some things. Say he had his own little town and everything, and
the assembly line.
Right. Yes.
The assembly line. So he had this idea of, we're going to make cars, but we're only going to give you one option, and it's going to be black.
Yeah,
and it's going to be this color.
Yeah, you can get any color you want as long as it's black.
Yep, any color you want as long as it's black. And, that was part of what transformed production on stuff was the assembly line and how he designed that and made it work. And so that's a whole fascinating topic in itself. But then there was a need because there was no power steering back in the day. So one of the first accessories out there was the steering wheel knob. So you could crank your steering wheel a little easier. And then, talk about headlights. And this goes back even before the automobile. This is on carriages, right? They were using candles and, how to figure out headlights and so on and so forth. But all of those things are part of the aftermarket. And you look at the advancement, we could talk about lighting, right? You went from candle watt to halogen bulbs to HID, high intensity discharge bulbs, to now LED, and where we're at with LED bulbs.
Right.
Seat heaters, remote starts, came out of the aftermarket.
Blind spot,
aftermarket, backup cameras, navigation systems. So the aftermarket,
CD players in the back of cars.
Oh yeah. The trunk,
audio, all the audio stuff, subwoofers, all that. Yeah.
Superchargers, which started in the aftermarket, actually made their way to a lot of OEM, cars.
Yeah, my dad's got a supercharged Audi from factory,
and vice versa. They, bounce back and forth a couple times, but the aftermarket pushes the envelope and the needle forward for the automobile manufacturers.
Yep.
And so it's just a cool industry to be in, and it does feel at times like the OEM guys oh, the aftermarket, you don't want that. But when we start to educate customers and customers start to understand there are actually better options out there.
Yep.
Or, maybe I don't need to go buy that brand new vehicle. Maybe I'll just tweak what I have.
Yep.
Now you have options. You save a lot of money. You get what you want.
Yep.
And so that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
We're here to educate people.
Yeah.
So that is a great watch. Highly recommend it.
I'll have to add that to the watch list I've got. Yeah. I watch mostly YouTube, but I'll add it to my list of things I need to watch outside of YouTube.
I don't know that I'm I don't watch a whole lot of documentaries. So that was one that for me was
really piqued your interest.
I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, you just get into it and it kind of sucks you in, but pretty cool.
Yeah. Well-made shows be able to do
that. Yeah. Top. So I think I'm trying to remember, it must be in the Cars That Made the World one. They talk about Porsche and why Porsche put the ignition on the left-hand side.
No, okay.
And it was for racing.
Yeah.
The races that they were doing early on, they started outside of the car.
Right.
They shot their gun or whatever they did to start the race, and you had to run to your car, and they were trying to find ways to improve their times, right? And they were like, hey, let's put the ignition right here. As soon as you get in, bam, you start the car.
Yeah.
You're not reaching around the steering wheel trying to find it. So that's why they put it there. So, there's all kinds of interesting facts like that you're like, oh.
Yeah. Well, motorsports has had a big influence on what's in cars too, from suspension pieces to, different braking technologies and combustion motors and all of that. Motorsports has pushed the envelope too in a different way. Yeah, than aftermarket has, but also in a similar way too.
Yeah, and I think you could probably argue that they're an extension or
absolutely
part of the aftermarket, right? They're a brother or sister of the aftermarket. And that's interesting. I think companies, certain companies have done a good job of spinning off companies of their company. And I don't know the ins and outs or the history of this, but I just think of a company like Toyo, for example, primarily you would come across Toyo as an OEM tire, it was on a vehicle production wise. But then they, I don't know how their company is specifically set up, but then they have the Nitto brand of their company, sister company or whatever. And they're pretty much just predominantly aftermarket, the motorsports stuff, the off-road tires, so on and so forth. And that's pretty cool to see because you're kind of starting to get, info from one side and info from the other side, and you can make the best, products.
Absolutely.
That way.
Yeah. Well, and we've seen some different auto manufacturers have their own little aftermarket products that they sell based on motorsports.
Yeah.
It's like, Ford has their Ford Racing. So you can get Ford Racing aftermarket parts. And you can, there's a bunch of different manufacturers that have pieces like that.
Yeah.
So all of them being intertwined like that is pretty cool. You see how they all work together to make each other better. And hopefully the manufacturers don't abandon that.
Yeah, back to those relationships, right? We all have a purpose here on this earth, and if we can make each other better while we're at it, while we're seeking out that purpose, it's
pretty good.
Yeah, it all works out.
Yeah,
it all works out.
I think that's covered all of our topics. We're hoping to. We didn't flip.
We're out of time.
Yeah, we didn't flip. That's kind of noisy. We're hoping to have some guests on the podcast here soon.
Not hoping. We're going to.
We're going to. We are.
Got a couple guests lined up.
Planning through that. I have to do some research on the audio piece. Obviously, we use these little mics, but we can't do more than
Did I turn
two.
mine on?
It is on. It's green.
Okay, that's good.
But
well, maybe it's not good. For you guys, it might not be good.
Well, that wouldn't be good because then they're going to hear my voice and then yours like echoing in the distance. But no, I know Jake from P3 is wanting to come on. And
yeah, we got a product that I think we're going to maybe cover. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jake will be fun to have on here. So we'll look forward to that one. Yeah. I've got a couple other guests that we've connected with that are interested in getting on our show. So
we got exciting things coming. We're not just doing it and shrugging our shoulders. Yeah. It might seem like we are. We sit down and we shrug our shoulders to start and we shrug our shoulders to end because I don't know. But
we don't know what we're doing.
We are planning stuff. We've got exciting things for the future.
Yeah, at the bare minimum, we're just creating content. Yeah. And
hope
if you guys like it, great. If you don't, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, no wonder that that ran out.
You don't have to watch it.
Yeah. That was really quick.
Yeah, that was quick.
Yeah. But we love to hear from you guys. Let us know what you want to see. If there's some topics you want us to cover or you want some recurring segments of us making fun of somebody or something, whether that's each other or, someone that that we both know. Who knows? Let us know.
Hey, forgot.
Oh boy.
Probably should put this at the beginning and the end.
Okay.
Well, you know what? It's going to be over before.
Our giveaway.
We're going to have giveaways.
Yes.
You're going to miss the first giveaway because by the time we launch this, it's going to be over. But there is a good purpose or a good reason that you should jump on, follow our
Instagram,
Facebook, YouTube, TikTok.
Yep. TikTok's been surprisingly nice to me in our platform.
Yeah, well, they're trying to be nice to everybody. They don't want to go away.
That is true.
Like, no.
Well, we got a buddy who deleted the app, and then he can't get it back now because he deleted it off his phone.
Oh, really? So, that's interesting.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. It's like Flappy Bird. Remember when Flappy Bird got banned?
I don't.
Yeah. That was a game. It was a game when I was in like middle school, high school.
Flappy Bird. Is that like...
you just tapped the screen and the bird went through like pipes. Like it was nothing crazy.
What was the other one? Where they would hit things and...
Angry Birds?
Angry Birds, yeah.
They made the movie on Angry Birds.
Yeah, that's right. Is Flappy Birds before or after Angry Birds?
Probably after. Yeah, because
so it's like a knockoff version of Angry Birds?
No, it's completely different.
Completely different.
But there were some reports of like kids were killing themselves over Flappy Bird or something, and then they pulled the app or the person making it like got threats or something. Huh. I don't know. It got pulled and...
What was the Run game?
Temple Run?
Temple Run, yeah.
Well, there were a bunch of spinoffs for that. There was a Sonic one. There was a Despicable Me one. They were just ripping that off. Yeah. We could go on and on about mobile apps.
Mobile apps.
Yeah, you want to talk about...
Yeah, what's your favorite car mobile app that pertains specifically to your cars?
There you go. Yeah, me? Honestly, Instagram.
Mine is my car app that starts my vehicle.
I don't have that.
Back to that.
I've got a manual, so unless I delete my clutch, actuator, sensor, whatever, I can't do any remote start stuff. So.
Yeah, I use like just websites, right? Basically, just like the automotive valuing apps,
Okay.
car
Yeah,
values, stuff like that, KBB, things like that. But
Facebook Marketplace.
yeah,
That's a fun one.
yeah, it is a fun.
That could be a fun video. Find some crazy stuff on Marketplace.
Actually, I think we'll do that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, what's the craziest thing you can find on Facebook Marketplace that's automotive related?
Yeah. Send us the craziest things you found on Marketplace. I have some screenshots of some crazy stuff I've found. So if you guys have stuff that you've seen, send them to us. Let's do like another video. It may not be the podcast, but we'll do a video going over some crazy Facebook Marketplace finds.
I like it.
Send us your crazy Facebook Marketplace finds.
Yep.
Whether it's a car or not, because there's some funny stuff on there. It's not cars. But
it's making me think of people Walmart.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if that site's still up and operating, but
I don't know. I've never been on that one.
Oh man. Approach with caution.
Understood. All right. Let us know what you found on Facebook. Subscribe. The podcast is now on Apple Podcasts. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you'd rather listen on Apple Podcasts, it's there now. Spotify, it's still there. YouTube, it's still there. Subscribe, follow all of the good stuff. And we'll see you in the next one.
Go Eagles.
Go Birds.
Go Zebras.